Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Chicago Blackhawks franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we added more draft prospects to our roster, and we have like probably the deepest prospect pool I've ever had in a franchise mode, which is both a positive and a negative in a sense, because obviously it's great having a lot of prospects in your system, but when you have too much of them that a lot of them are NHL ready, it's like, what the heck do? You obviously want to be making trades eventually to get rid of some of them, but like, look at all these prospects. Here's just our center prospects or center players right now. You can see there's a ton of guys that have elite potential, some guys that have like top 6 potential. And then you go over to like the left side, all these low elites and some top 6 forward potential players. You go to the right side, we got some low elites and top 6s. You go to the defensive prospects, and this is where it's probably the most crazy. We have some elite prospects, some low elite prospects, some medium top 4s, medium top 6Ds, and goalie prospect wise, we even have elite players, starting goaltenders, and fringe starters. Like, it's just so much prospects that I don't even know what we could really do. Like, we can't really make trades, because if we make trades, we're taking away young ice times from younger guys. We sign players, we're taking away time from younger guys. We trade away young guys, what do we go after? More picks so we could draft more young guys? Like, it's just a really weird cycle that this team is getting put into. But anyways, we're up here in free agency. I don't think we're going to be actually signing any people in free agency this year, just because of the fact we have so much young guys. Like I said, we don't want to be taking those roster spots away from younger guys. And I think I might actually end up using some players as depth options that I drafted instead of actually using them in the AHL and whatnot. So we already have pretty much like a full roster at this stage, and like our roster is so young still, like it's actually kind of ridiculous. Because if you look at our contract situation here, starting off with the forwards, literally everybody on our forward core is younger than 28, except for Frank Nazar, who is 28. Then you go to our defensive core, everybody is younger than 33, or younger than 25, I should say, 25 and below, except for Cale Makar, who is in the last year of his contract. Like, this team is definitely really young. Like, this might be the best young team I've ever put it together on paper. It's just all about getting those wins and getting into the playoffs and hopefully winning a Stanley Cup soon. Well, a lot of these guys are under contract, because eventually once some of these guys' contract ends, we're going to end up losing a bunch of young guys, and I don't want that to happen, of course. But anyways, before we get into making a change to our coaching staff, we do have one comment to go over, well, one with a bunch of replies. So the first part of the comment from HockeyGuy88 says, I don't think you need to bring in any other players, which is basically what I was just saying, and I totally agree with that. I was asking him about the defensive situation, like who would you rather start in the AHL, because I didn't really want to scratch a defenseman, but I think I am going to be scratching at least one younger guy, and then one guy is going to be starting off in the minors. So I was asking him between like Potter, Ovechkin, and Niedermaki. He says that I'm thinking you should actually trade Potter. He still has top 4 potential, but I feel better about Ovechkin and Niedermaki's chances of turning into good quality defensemen. So he's saying to trade Avery Potter. Now, the only thing about that is, like I was mentioning a little bit earlier, what the heck do we trade Avery Potter for? Because we don't really need anything almost at this rate. Avery Potter, he's currently qualified, but he will be probably in a top 4 role next season, more than likely, or a top 6 role. Solovyov is probably the guy I'm going to be using as a 7th defenseman next season, and then I probably would be starting like Niedermaki in the AHL with like Spiller and all those type of good young guys. So I don't know if I would be trading Avery Potter away, because he's young, he's cheap, and he's still got RFA status for a few more years, but at some point I think moving away Avery Potter would make sense, and definitely he probably has the lowest upside, because Ovechkin is only 21 and he's low elite potential, and then you got Potter, who's 22 and only top 4 potential. He's 80 overall. Niedermaki's got top 4 potential as well, but he is 2 years younger. So I think moving Avery Potter does make sense. It's just at the moment I really don't know what for. So I think for now I'm going to keep on Avery Potter into next season. But if we run into a situation where Niedermaki's like an 81, 82, and he's still in the AHL level or in like the cusp of the NHL, I think it would be beneficial for us to trade Potter away, even probably just for picks, so we could like replace him with younger prospects that are up and coming instead. Because I honestly have no idea what I want to get for somebody like an Avery Potter at the moment, because like I said, I don't want to take away ice time from some of the younger guys in our NHL team, and I just don't want to be giving away prospects for free too. So Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be making a trade with Avery Potter yet, but I think that will be something we'd look into doing potentially if we run into roster problems, which more than likely we're going to at the start of the season. But anyways, that was the only comment I got in last episode. So we are not signing any free agents, but we are going to be making a coaching edition. Some of you might have seen on the Discord I was talking to Pens Gaming. And we found a perfect head coach for this young team, and that is none other than Anze Kopitar. Anze Kopitar is an A- coach. He's only 45, so he won't retire anytime soon. And the most important thing is that he is a 63% team fit, and he fits with most of our top guys. He even works really well with Asher Vance, Skylar Cox, who we just brought in from the Rangers. He works well with Cale Makar, Reefers. Like, he works well with pretty much everybody on this roster, which is huge. And being a young coach, I think it would help us out quite a bit. And also look at those ratings. Like, he's good offensive coach, good defensive coach, of course. Good power play wise, penalty kill. His teaching is not necessarily the best, but it could be because he's never had a coaching job before. And he's also got good coach influence. So this guy's like the perfect head coach for this young team. And yeah, let's just give him more money so he could actually become our head coach. There's no other teams interested, which is kind of a surprise, but I still will up the price quite a bit just to make sure that no other teams try and steal him from me. But it should be interesting to have Anze Kopitar as a head coach. And it should be interesting to see what this young team could do and what the team looks like chemistry-wise with Kopitar as the head coach. But that's the only thing we're going to be making in terms of changes to our to our organization in this offseason, because we're not going to be adding players. We're going to basically see what our team looks like with all the abundance of prospects we have, and then we might decide to make some trades. And there you go, Kopitar already accepts within 1 day just because I gave him a shit ton of money. And I'm not going to be trading any prospects away for Rupe Hintz, no thank you. I should just remove all these players from my block at the moment, to be honest. 2 second-round picks and I get Dylan Genther, who's making $10 million, no thank you, but that's an interesting offer. I'm going to go to edit trade, actually not edit trade, I want to go to edit trade and block, that's what I want to go to. But that's actually kind of a funny offer. It's not a bad offer. Let me stop the simulation, please. Clem Costin, no thank you. I already got my power forward that I wanted, and I also might try something like Bales on the top 6 this season just for something different since we got rid of Holton's cap hit. Let's go to trading block, and let's just remove all our assets from the trading block because I'm not looking to move any of these prospects just yet. But at some stage we might be looking to move away a couple prospects depending on what this team is looking like at the start of the season. Like, I honestly have no idea who's going to be in our lineup and who isn't. I kind of wrote down a projected lineup that I have for our team for next season, so we'll see who ends up being like the healthy scratches. But I am thinking that more than likely on the forward core that Pielmeyer and Kabanov will both be scratched, even though Kabanov has low lead potential and X factors. And I think on defense, like I was mentioning, Solovyov will be the depth option on the defensive front. So it's going to be interesting to see, though, like I said, how these young guys slot in. We do have also some RFAs that are still not accepted yet, so we will probably give them some money shortly if we could stop getting all these trade offers every few seconds. That's one thing I don't like about this game is why are we getting trade offers literally every single day? We shouldn't get so much trade offer notifications. Like, it's actually kind of annoying. Like, maybe I should have turned that off, but it's also kind of important for franchise mode, obviously, to have that on. So let me stop the simulation for a second and go to those RFAs that we have up for renewal so I could actually try and offer them some contracts before these AIs keep offering me these ridiculous deals. So Avery Potter, what are you wanting now for 1 year? 1.35, you got it. We're obviously going to do that. And Donald, 2.55, he's a UFA within a few years, but yeah, I guess we'll give you 2.55. You've earned it enough. You didn't play great as a starter last year, but that's probably as low as you're going to get to anyways. So let's continue to sim. And yeah, I'm also really excited because starting this season, I think, for our fourth line, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be running the trio of Patterson, Ziska, and Corrado. All three of those guys came in the first round of the exact same draft class, so I am hoping that I could get them all on that fourth line, and hopefully a lot of them have some good experience and get good growth, because those guys might be some solid like third liners for us in the future, because they'll have top 6 potential, but with the elites and stuff we have, I feel like they're more suited for a third line role at the highest, but who knows what it's going to look like. So let's set up our lines. And yeah, we're already running into problems because Pielmeyer jumped up to an 82. I was not expecting that. Well, Pielmeyer was going to be depth, but now he can't be depth, technically. And Kabanov is up to an 80. He can still be depth, which is good. But let me just see who's in the AHL that shouldn't be. Patterson, and that's it, pretty much. Yeah, I want to get Patterson in the NHL. Man, we have, like, way too much. Way too much. Let's call it Patterson, though, first, and then we'll rework our lines as best as possible, but this might take a lot of work here because we might have to make some trades in order to make sure people are actually playing in the right spots. Niittymaki should be technically playing as well in the NHL, but I'm not trying to I'm not going to get him in this season yet. I feel like maybe a little tiny bit more time. I might trade Potter somewhat in like next episode if we really need to. But yeah, this roster is literally way too deep. Like, it's almost a problem more than it's great. So let's readjust these lines a little bit here. We were saying taking Kabanov out of the lineup. And we were saying throwing Donald Little for sure, because Donald Little's a third liner. Bales doesn't work well with Donald Little down there. I actually will put Bales to the top 6, I think, maybe then. I was thinking of doing that, so... Oh, look at that. We have a +5 with our top line now because of Anze Kopitar, so that's nice. Pielmeyer being there is a bit of a problem. But, I mean, I could always send Patterson down. I do like playing Kabanov as well, potentially, but... Holy crap, this is a problem. I think Anton's is in the last year of his deal, correct? He is. And he still lists as a third liner. Because maybe we would trade Anton's. Maybe. Because Patterson can't... Patterson and I think a couple of these other guys could play center too. I might have to move out Anton's at some stage. Because I don't really want Patterson scratched. Because this guy's a power forward, so... We could always try moving Karate. I don't want to split up that fourth line, though. Pielmeyer, do you win faceoffs? No, you don't. Of course you don't. Yeah, this is where I hate having too much prospects, in a sense. We could put Bales at center here. I might actually try and move Anton's, to be honest. Because Anton's, I think he's getting his way pushed out of the lineup. Even though he's good. Yeah, I think we're going to move out Anton's. Kabanov could still be depth for now. But I don't really like playing him as a healthy scratch, to be honest. And then Ovechkin obviously should be in over Solovyov. But Solovyov's listed as a top 6D as well. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is such a problematic roster right now in terms of this. God damn. Because I think Solovyov for sure will lose morale being a scratch. I guess we got to move out Anton's. And then we should probably... We could honestly just call up somebody like Nighty from the AHL as a depth option. And I'm... Oh my god, look at this defensive core in the AHL. Literally, 2 guys that should be in the NHL list down there too. And then there's Brunstrom and Spiller too. We literally have 4 NHL-ready defensemen almost in the AHL, and we already have a full-on top 6 defense, and we also have a depth defenseman. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to make some changes in next episode already. I could already see it. But I am going to try and trade Anton's just for picks here. And we'll trade him for an actual depth forward, or we'll sign a depth forward for this roster first. I'll also set up the special teams still before we actually start simulating, but this is kind of ridiculous. I wasn't thinking of moving out Anton's yet, but I mean I should probably. Unless I want to just send him to the AHL. Which I might honestly do. Yeah, I think I'm going to send Anton's to the AHL instead of trading him. Just so that way we actually have some depth. It's a little bit weird to do that, but that way we actually have a depth forward in the NHL and in the AHL. Looks still pretty decent. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's a bit weird throwing an 81 to the AHL, but I would rather my young guys get into the lineup. So, and yeah, basically Solovyov being depth is not great. Not great at all. But yeah, maybe Potter getting moved in next episode would make a lot of sense, like Oxfan was mentioning here. Because this is a very weird scenario. Yeah, I think what we're going to have to do next episode is move out somebody like Potter. Because Solovyov should technically be in the lineup on that top 6 maybe. And then we would have to decide on something like with all these AHL defenders like Kavanagh. I don't know if this guy's going to make the roster. Mackey should be in the NHL lineup. Spiller should probably be in soon. And then, yeah, the rest probably not as much. But, wow. And Tukio jumped up to a 75 after 1 year in the AHL. God damn. We're getting too much growth. Dolan's up to an 85 as well. Okay, let's just make sure these special teams are set up, and then we'll simulate some of the season. Like, I don't want to simulate too much and then have some guys lose some morale, but it honestly might end up being that way. Skilly on the first power play unit, it's okay with me, I think. And I think I might just leave the power play units and the penalty kill lines is the way it has it. Because there's no negative chemistry really other than this line here. Oh, it's because of Cale Makar. Let's take Makar off this one. Put Len Morris on this one. No, that doesn't work either. Let's try Lowry on this one. That doesn't work either. How about Potter? Doesn't work either. And what about Ovechkin? There you go. Ovechkin works on that one. And then, yeah, a lot of our defense don't actually work that well on our penalty kill, but that's okay. Let's put Makar on the second unit instead. Just to strengthen that first unit up a little bit. Yeah, this roster is very interesting. Also, Skilly being here maybe causes more problems than I should have. Maybe I shouldn't have traded for him. Because we traded for him from Calgary. He's going to get to play 1 year here, and then he's a UFA at the end of this year. So I don't see him coming back after this 1 year. So, but, yeah, this is going to be a really interesting roster, and I'm very excited for this fourth line. Like I said, 20th overall pick, 24th overall pick, and the 26th overall pick in 2030. They're all going to get to play together. They actually have chemistry too, which is pretty cool. So hopefully that line does pretty well for me on that fourth line situation. But let's start simulating a little bit. Like I said, we're not going to simulate too much. Like, I don't know if I'll go right to the halfway point of the season in this episode. I might. But I honestly don't want anybody to have any morale crises right away. So we're going to have to make some tough decisions in next episode in terms of trading away some prospects just to get the guys into their correct areas. Because I honestly don't know if we're going to be able to get a guy like Kavanagh, who's in the AHL, into the lineup at any point. Mackey, I want to get into the lineup. But right now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So I might have to trade Solovyov in order to get him in. There's just a lot of weird things. So 4-3 in the preseason, pretty good. 11 points in 7 games for Cale Makar. I know a lot of you guys said to potentially bring Cale Makar back for next season because he is in the last year of his contract, but I honestly think with the amount of prospects we have, it's kind of pointless to bring back somebody like Cale Makar when we have like a couple offensive defenseman prospects. So I don't think I'm going to be bringing him back next season, but yeah, he's probably going to have a breakout year this year, just watch, and then next year he's going to start to dwindle off or something like that. So I don't think it's worth bringing him back, but mainly just because this prospect pool is ridiculous. So let's see that defensive core again. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Like a lot of X factors on that defensive core. Not as much on the offensive front, but I don't know about trying Bales as a center really, though. It's a bit of a weird one. He is a good goal scorer, so I hope that he has a good season this year. Yeah, let's just try it. Let's just see what this roster does. Might as well. We'll probably... Should we go to January the 1st or not? It depends, I guess, if we have any morale crises or not. I still want to get to like a halfway point, but I honestly, like I said, I don't want to have anybody all of a sudden lose a ton of morale. But that might end up happening regardless. So, and we start off the season with 1 goal in our first 2 games. And then we bounce back with 5 goals each in our next 3 games. So, a little bit of a weird start, but we've had weird starts before. So, 4-4 in our first 8 games. And yeah, Makar is definitely going off this year just because he wants to get paid the big bucks. And I'm not going to be paying him $15 million if his contract ends this year. So yeah, 1 goal in 8 games, but 12 points. So yeah, we might never find a guy that produces on the same level as Cale Makar, but it doesn't really matter in a sense because I'd rather have better depth scoring than one standout defenseman. And I know you don't need like a top 2 defenseman to win a Stanley Cup, and we already have 2 top 2s, I think, with Brunstrom as well. So let's continue to simulate and see what happens in the next month. See if we could get a better record than 4-4. But yeah, this is a really weird start to the season and a really deep roster that I'm already going to have some problems with. It's going to be interesting to see what the AHL team does this year as well. Like, the AHL team could endlessly win the Calder Cup, so, or should probably be up there. Still a weird start, not a surprise though. With the amount of young guys in our lineup, maybe that's the problem, I don't know. But we should be a playoff team this year, no questions asked. So maybe we're going to have to release a strong second half of the season though. Hey, we're back to 10-10-1, that's good. What about this last game? I lost 10-11-1 at December the 1st. 25 points in 22 games from Makar, okay. Let me go to edit lines for a second. Let me just take a look at potential guys like this top 6 pairing. Okay, our top pairing is doing really well in the plus-minus category. But the other pairings are a little bit lower, but that's okay. Do I want to try and put Solovyov in for a couple games? Yeah, I don't want to risk Crash Ovechkin, though. I'm going to keep the defensive core the same, I think. Yeah, let's still go to January the 1st. Or we'll go to actually still to the halfway point. I just want to get as much simulated as possible, but hopefully this team kind of starts to win a bit more games because this is a bit of a bad start for a team that should be a lot better than that. But then again, we have a new head coach, so maybe that's where things are going to be a little bit different for this team. There's another win. Good to see. Okay, there's 2 wins. 3 wins in a row. And now 1 loss. There's 1 win. Okay, now we're starting to find ourselves this month. That's good. That's good. It was a bit of a weird start, but now we're starting to win almost every game this month, so. But I still think we should be probably thinking about trading away one of our roster players in order to get other guys in. That's the only thing. So 19-13-2. That's a total of 34 games, did I see? Yeah, 34 games. Nazar's over point per game. Good to see. Let's do 7 more games so we're actually at the exact halfway point to the season, and then we could look at some player stats and decide if we really need to make any changes to this roster. Because it's just such a weird roster. I don't think I've ever had this much of a problem with the amount of prospects I've had. 2 losses in a row, then we went into overtime. Donald was never injured. There's a win. There's an OT loss, so at least it's a point. Game against St. Louis says Skylar Cox has been injured with an injured elbow. Let's go replace player, but that's a big blow. That's our second line center. That's a win there over the St. Louis Blues and a win over Montreal. So we are 23-15-3 halfway through the season, which is pretty good. Nazar's leading the team in points still at the halfway point as well. So let me take a quick look at our team stats and in player stats, and we'll look through also each individual line just to see if there's any specific line that's really not doing that well, if we want to make any changes, that is. But I honestly might want to keep this entire roster an entire season. And Philadelphia, who's won 3 straight Stanley Cups in this franchise mode, is currently first in the league with a 27-8-4 record. Jeez. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to end up being able to win a Stanley Cup with Philadelphia being as good as they are in this franchise mode series. But so far, we are a good offensive team, one of the best in the league. Goals against wise, we're kind of not doing too well defensively. Yeah, we're not doing too well defensively, kind of mid-table. Power play is not really doing that well either. And our penalty kill, where is our penalty kill? It's one of the worst in the league. So our special teams could be better, but other than that, we're not that bad of a team. It's just more the offense that's kind of getting us into that. And Frank Nazar jumped up to an 89, so he's getting a lot of statistical growth, which is not a great sign, really, because then he's going to come plummeting down at some stage. But there's Nazar's stats, 43 points, plus 17 so far. He's on pace for an 86-point season. From what I heard, his name is actually pronounced Frank Nazar, but I call him Nazar, so I don't know if it's actually Nazar or Nazar. But if you guys actually know, let me know. But Asher Vance is off to a little bit of a slow start goal scoring wise because he's got the exact same amount of assists as he does goals, but he's still on pace for a 42 goal season and 84 points, which is great. That power play, is not doing too well. He's only got 2 power play goals halfway through the season when this guy normally picks up like 20 power play goals. Yeah, 15 to 20 power play goals a season, so we might need to change up the power play unit a little bit. Reefers is doing well with Kopitar being the coach, plus 25 with 36 points. Cox has 23 points in 40 games before his injury. He will be back, I guess, soon. Ziska 2 points on the 4th line, and I think that's almost it. And short-handed time, he has 3 short-handed goals, so he's turning out into being like a young Kopitar or something. He's got also good face-off numbers. Look at the face-off numbers on these guys. Our top 3 centers, Reefers, Cox, and Ziska. Well, also there's one other guy too that's a center. I don't know who it is. Oh yeah, it's Bales. We'll check on him too. But 57.8, 57%, and 52% on the draw. That is awesome. And then Kabanov has 1 assist in his only NHL game so far. So he's definitely making a case that he should be in the lineup as well at some stage. So yeah, I don't know what we want to do in terms of getting him into the lineup. Like, he's already got an assist in 1 game. Makes me feel like he should probably be in the lineup. Lil is off to a little bit of a slow start, to be honest. 22 points in 41 games is decent, but a -6. So the 3rd line might be the problem at the moment. He has more power play goals also than Vance, which is a bit weird. Patterson's got 10 goals on the 4th line. 13 points. Not too bad from Rodney. He's not averaging that much ice time, but he's got 10 goals. So if this guy gets like top 6 ice time, he's going to be a good goal scorer. Like, you guys wanted me to get a power forward into the top 6. Well, this guy might end up being in the top 6 at some stage. And yeah, it's definitely our 3rd line that's struggling right now because Bales only 12 points in 41 games. 6 goals in 41 games is not good. He's only on pace for a 12-goal season. And he's -9. Pielmeier's not doing too well either defensively. So yeah, that 3rd line, we definitely could tweak around with it. Put Bales maybe back to the left side. And then put somebody else on that 3rd line center spot. Maybe call up Antons. And then maybe trade Pielmeier. Because I don't know if he has a home here for much longer in a sense. Like, it's a bit of a weird scenario. Recchi, 24 points in 41 games. On pace for 48 points. Not great for a top 6 forward. But it is what it is. Skelly, 23 points, 15 goals. Not bad. This is the guy we brought in from Calgary. Like I said, he's a pending UFA, so he might not be here next season. And Corrado has 18 points on the 4th line and some power play time. Defensively, Cale Makar is doing really well. 34 points, a +24. Brunson's got 27 points and a +26. And he's still signed for 3 years. So yeah, I think Brunstrom's ready to take Makar's spot as the #1 defenseman on this team. And then Morris, 14 points. Ovechkin, 10 points. Potter, 9 points, +10. And Lowry, 4 points and a -4. Goalie-wise, Donald has been better than last season, but still not really the greatest. Like, he's got the same save percentage. The goals against has improved. But, yeah, I guess he is improving. He's got a winning record as well, not like last year. He's improving a little bit. And then Pitton as a backup, still doing really good. 6-3 with 1 shot and .919 and a 2.52. So maybe Rudy Pitton is a perfect backup and not really suited for a starting role. But other than that, he's got really solid numbers. A .913 save percentage in his career and a 2.68. So maybe keeping him as a backup for his entire career would be a good idea for this team. So there is our player stats so far halfway through the year. Okay guys, so for some reason my Elgato stopped recording the footage at this point, but anyways, what I was saying after the player stats, I was going to show you guys the trading block and whatnot, but I honestly don't think this team needs to make trades, but if we are going to be making trades, it's more getting rid of prospects we know we can't use, basically, in that sense. But what the heck do we bring in for them? Like, do we just bring in random picks so we could draft more good prospects and trade those picks away? Like, it's at a really weird state right now, and I honestly don't know what we want to do in terms of, like, flipping around in this roster. Like, our roster is doing well this season. It's just more about finding ourselves probably once we actually get to the playoff time. But I am at a very difficult crossroads on what we actually want to do. Like, we probably want to trade somebody like Potter, just like Hawks fan was mentioning, so we could get in somebody like Nitamaki who should be in the lineup. But at this stage, it's like I was saying, I don't know what we trade him for. There was one interesting player, and that was Lafreniere on the block. It wouldn't be a bad option. Looks like he's having a little bit of morale problems over there in New York, but I honestly don't know if it makes sense, because I don't know where we would slot him in with the young guys we have in our lineup. Like, we're just such in a weird spot that it's definitely the weirdest state I've ever been in franchise mode before. So a lot of solid players though on the block. And Vancouver has Demko. And yet it's pretty much basically that. But I honestly don't know what we do. I do not know what we do, because if we go back, let's do one last thing. If you look at our lines here, our lines are all set up pretty nicely, but it's more about having guys like, for example, Solovyov scratched. He's listed as a top 6D. I don't know if he should be playing as a depth defenseman in this team. Like, he's going to get sent down to the AHL if we trade him to another team, probably too, though. So maybe being a depth defenseman is still fine for him. But I'd say using guys like Anton's in the AHL, we should maybe trade him away, since we're not going to bring him back next season for sure. Somebody like Kavanaugh, who might not get into our NHL team, maybe he deserves a chance on another team. Reginald Spiller, who we just drafted, he deserves to be in the NHL probably as early as next season. We might have to trade somebody on our roster away on the blue line. Nitamaki should technically be on our defensive core as well this season. So there's like 3 guys that at least should be on the defensive core even as early as this season. So it's like Potter probably we would flip him away. But the rest of these defenders, what do we do? Cale Makar probably won't be coming back next season, so that at least frees up 2 spots for probably the 2 offensive defensemen. But what about Kavanaugh? If we want to get Kavanaugh in, do we get rid of somebody else, or do we just flip away Kavanaugh since he's already older than some of these guys that are on our NHL roster? It's just such a weird scenario, and I honestly have no answer for what we do, because I don't think I've ever had this situation where you have so much prospects that it's just very difficult to decide on what you actually should do. Also, our third line hasn't been doing too well, so maybe we want to go back to Bales on the left side, and maybe we want to think about trading away Pielmeyer since he's already 24, and he's probably not going to be here super long term. And then we could probably call somebody up from the AHL. I called back up Anton's and decided to move out Pielmeyer instead. But like, this team is simulating good. It's just more about finding guys in the right spots. Like, I don't think Skilly comes back next season, even though this guy literally was just brought in the offseason. I don't think he's here much longer. And then I want to get Kabanov into the lineup, for example, as well. But right now we have too much roster players as is as well. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. Let me know what you guys think we should be doing in terms of next episode. Should we offload a couple younger guys that we know we can't use? Like I said, Potter and whatnot. Call up guys from the AHL who deserve a chance, even though this team is 23-15-3. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.